Welcome, everybody, to BoardSTIFF. Hey, gang! Welcome back to BoardSTIFF. How you doing? How's it going out there? Everybody good?
Good.
I can't believe I've actually got all three on again for a second episode. What's up with that? You guys actually, did you enjoy it? Was it fun? Did you get any feedback? Did you get people like running
We
to
have
your
nothing
door,
better to do.
banging on your door like, we want to see you, like a rock star?
Yes, that happened.
That did?
No.
Over and over again. Yeah. I can't let you in. I can't let you in.
I think there was four viewers and there's four of us, so that might not be a coincidence.
Did you subtract our own views from that total?
Oh,
no, that's my point. Yeah.
I never watched it. What are you talking about?
Uh-huh.
I'm not that self-centered. Come on. All right.
We need
I didn't watch it till today.
It just clicked.
And I only got 11 minutes in, and then what the hell?
Like, I'm done with it. Yeah. Well, that's not. If that doesn't say much, if you're bored of yourself, this must be great.
I already knew what was going to happen. It was like spoilers.
You already knew what's going to happen. Exactly. It's funny. I did set up.
John, is it raining there?
Joining. What's that, Wilt?
I was asking John if it's raining there because it's pouring here, and it looks like you might have rain outside his window there.
Not yet. It's coming though.
No, okay.
It's gray here. You can't really tell from the bright window, but it's dark and gray outside.
That's good. I know we're all over actually from around the fruited plain as we speak. That's the beautiful thing about the Zoom. Coming on together, we're still family, and the best part is that we say, we can game together like this, but the best part of it all, you don't eat my Cheetos, you don't drink my beer, right? And when it's time to click out, boop, gone, you're out.
I don't have to clean the bathroom before you come over.
Yeah, right?
And
it's
after.
All right, if folks want to be a part of the show, we do have a couple things we did set up as we get this thing kicked off, if somebody even gives a rat's ass. Twitter, it's at BoardStiff4 for the four of us. We got that set up, as well as boardstiffgamer@gmail.com is the email you can use to send some information, maybe just questions, comments, or better yet, sarcastic remarks. We love that. Or you can always, below on the YouTube version, not the audio version, but YouTube at BoardStiff, leave comments as well as we go along. I always say, like, look over here and put it over here. Who spends time doing that? Professionals making real money? Yeah.
Professionals, that's right.
That's how it was. All right. So what we thought we'd do is jump into this, and each week, just give a little background. We review one game, and the reason is, and the premise of this whole show is to see what games we feel collectively is a great one to bring to the table or not. For family and friends. So we take a look at it and say, is this game good enough to sit down and have the patience for my wife, my mother-in-law, my dear friend that's not a normal gamer, right, that comes out and sits down with me? Are you willing to bring it out to the table, and will they sit down and enjoy it? This all comes off of the fact that we have been caught up here for a number of months, and soon that will be over, but hopefully the gaming will continue with family and friends as well. And it's right. And we wanted to make it happen and bring out the best ones that are out there, because a lot of times it is difficult to weed through all of it to see if we see one more top 10 lists of the best games to bring in. So we're going to just give you our one list each week and try to add a little fun to it as well. We rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the best on everything.
Okay, 1 is the best. Got it.
And 10 being the worst. Okay. Right?
Did you check? Is that the same thing we did last time?
Yes, sir. One being, it is the simplicity is the number one. It's so easy. It's only a 1, not 10 in hardness, 1 in simplicity. Right? And the other one is dust factor. Not 1 inch of dust. That means it's collected over a couple of, months, not a table. 10 inches of dust.
Millimeters of dust.
Years, right? Are we all good with that now? All right.
Got it.
Lastly, I thought about as I went through this, guys, too, and I said, this whole concept, does it make sense? Because what came out of the show last time was, well, it all depends. It all depends. We all had that kind of factor in it. Like, it depends what kind of family, depends on that situation. What I found that's interesting, though, is that we all have a different group of buds, right? 250 different people of influence. And so your opinion may be different than mine because of my friends or my circle, but yet collectively, the four of us can bring a really good average to the table on that. Yeah. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, it's as statistically relevant as what they're coming up with these virus numbers. So let's do that. Let's talk about the first one we're going to talk about, or the one we're going to talk about today is Terraforming Mars. Ready?
Bum, bum, bum.
Oh, are we getting high tech?
Oh, the production value. He's almost got the camera.
Watch this. Ready? Watch this. Right?
Look at this.
Just, oh, you want to look at it a little closer? There you go. What's up? What do we have
He
on
almost
there?
has the camera aimed properly.
Huh? Well, hey, life's a bitch. I can't. I don't have these little, perfectly stands. The whole deal. You'll get it. So there it
This
is.
is going to get us some sponsors.
There, yeah, exactly. There's the game, boys. Look at that. How it sits on the table. So,
Enough sponsors to pay a real producer. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, to do it and not have my fingers going in doing all this. All right. So let's talk about this simplicity. Okay. So overall, when we talk about terraforming Mars, in general, let's go around the table. We'll start with Wiltz, go to Johnny, and then Chris, since it's kind of that order reversed here. Give me your thoughts on the game in general, right? And then how it would relate to family and friends, and then give me a rating on the simplicity. Go for it.
Well, I think the game is pretty easy to learn. We played it again in Houston for the first time, and we picked it up in a matter of minutes.
Yeah.
I think you grow skill-wise. I think the more you play it, the better you would get at it, just knowing, your way around the board and where to put your tiles and what types of materials you're trying to create. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the game. It took a long time to play, but not as long as others we played there. But yeah, I would rate it pretty easy to learn.
Okay. Well, I will tell you, first of all, when you said it took really easy, as usual, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so I faked it. I didn't even understand the game until about halfway through, honestly. That's even though I tried to make it look like I did. First and foremost, there it is. I'm out there. I'm coming clean. All right.
I think I was right
I can't
there
agree with
with
you 100% on that. But yeah, interesting as far as when you sat down. But are you telling me it wasn't intimidating at all for you when you saw it? And so when you start talking about simplicity now, which I'm going to ask you, what do you think? We're talking about your mother-in-law, your friend, your wife.
Yeah, maybe not as easy for somebody. I'm a huge Civilization fan, so that the board looked familiar to me with the hexagons to begin with. But maybe not as easy if you're just sitting down, if you're not used to playing games. But I picked it up pretty easily. The cards are pretty descriptive. The resource gathering, that type of thing. I think somebody with half a brain would pick it up, faster than maybe Bogue did. But, I think we did have some people at the table that didn't know how to play. And I think our GM kind of let some things slide.
Bingo.
And,
remind me about that point. Okay.
Right.
Good one.
Yeah.
So
but
on a scale of
I
1 to 10,
it.
1 being the simplest game you've played, 10 being the toughest, where do you give it?
I'd give it a 6, I think. I mean, it's not, it's not chutes and ladders, but it's, it's not the most difficult game I've ever played. Yeah.
All right, cool. Chris, or Johnny, you're next on it. What's up? What do you think?
I'd give it about a 6. I think Colin's right. It's a medium weight game. I did a brief scan on Board Game Geek today just to see what people were saying about it and how it's been ranked by that community.
Yeah.
I think it's a medium weight game. I think it's also easy to play for somebody who's familiar with medium weight games. So knowing your audience is important. It's easy to pick up the rules and to understand the strategy, but then to get through and see all the cards. I mean, there's a billion cards in the game, right? To say, well, should I go for plants, or should I go for space metal, or should I go for, Jovian tags, or there's a lot of different ways to points. It really truly is like a point salad kind of game. There's
I love your lingo.
Just to get
I
points.
know, it's way too deep.
Space
Give me a second. I'm going to look it up.
Plants and space metal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's what we call them here in the house.
Right. Well, here's the thing when you talk about it, and if I jump in with each of you, because I think what it'll do is add a little more descriptive and a little depth to your conversations, is like we talked about last time when we talked about Firefly, which was our first review. We said that you have to kind of watch the leader for a little bit to get an idea of what's going on. Did you feel that was that way with this game as well, too, when you're playing it? You think you kind of, I mean, like in all games, right, you kind of learn and understand, but really kind of hanging in there for a while, knowing that you're falling behind your leader player because he knows what he's doing.
I had the benefit of teaching the family and learning it myself. So I did the standard thing, right? I sat down and I played a couple of rounds by myself.
Yeah.
And then we all learned it together. So this is a game where you can't bring it to Thanksgiving, teach 4 people, and then you're gonna destroy them because strategy. It takes plays to get a strategy. But once you do, when we play it here, it's set up in 3 minutes and the game just goes. And it's great in that you can see the pace of the game, right? Some games go really fast because somebody just puts plant, and just immediately dominates the board, game ends.
Yep.
And everybody builds this huge tableau of 30 cards. And so I think it's a great game to play with a group who's all in tune with each other and sort of knows each other's strategy, and you all have the same level of knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good stuff on that. So on the simplicity, 1 to 6. Now, I will say you use Board Game Geek as a reference, which is interesting because that's full of geeks playing geeky games that are going to rate it based on their interpretation, right? So I only say that because as you give a rating, using that maybe not be the one, because we're talking about, again, new people, not geeky gamers, not people playing the game, right? What do you give that on a simplicity scale, 1 to 10?
I give it a 6-ish. I think it's rated a little lower on Board Game Geek. I can't remember the number I saw, but I remember it being under 5, but I'll check while Chris is talking.
There you go. Nice. Yeah, to find out. But again, is their rating 1 to 10 or 10 to 1?
It's 1 to 10.
10 being
1 being the least complex.
10 being most complex, and it's
okay. Good. So it's the same in that case. Same. Okay. So just under 5. Chris, what's up?
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah. So I've only played Terraforming Mars maybe 3 or 4 times. Johnny's got it, and he's brought it to game night, and I've played, and I've enjoyed the game. I know the first time I played, I kind of felt like I was in the water with no idea what I was supposed to do. And it would, I'm looking at this board, and I've got, 18 different resources, and not really 18, but it's like 6 different resources. And, then there's cards that are telling you which resources you're making. There's cards that tell you which resources you get, so it's like there's a production scale and there's a quantity scale, and all the little cubes are the same. And it was pretty overwhelming that first time through. And, I consider myself a pretty experienced gamer. I've played a lot of complicated games, but this is a game where if I were to see it on a table at a convention, and I would look at it and I would look at how many little counters there are, I'd just keep walking. I probably wouldn't even try to play this game.
Yeah. Right.
I'm glad John brought it. I do enjoy the game. We've played it a couple of times, maybe 3 times. I can't remember. But like I said, that first time was just a slog, where John was like, hang with it. You'll understand it soon. Keep going, team. Go. And it was sort of like,
awesome
I'm going to put a hex on the map. I don't even know what I'm doing. I've got 12.
Which, by the way, there's not just one hex. It's
4 different kinds of hexes, and I've got cards in front of me, and the cards interact.
Well, and each hex has a different thing it's supposed to do as well, too. It's not just one thing.
Right. So I'm a min-maxer at heart, so I'm looking at these cards that I'm getting, and I'm looking at them like, okay, well, this is telling me this will interact with some other card, but how many cards are there? Is there a guide somewhere that tells me, how many I'm going to have? Because it's like, I don't even know if this is important or not,
Right.
So despite all of that, so that sounded very negative. Despite all of that, I really did enjoy the game.
Okay.
But I have to put it at like an 8 or a 9. I mean, particularly if we're talking about first time at the table, if I compare John's family, he's got boys that are, finishing up high school, and, his wife has been playing technical games with the 3 of them or the 4 of them together, this whole time. My kids are younger. I've got kid going into middle school.
Well, I mean, not even just kids. What about friends? Like friends that aren't gamers, or maybe gamers.
If I were to bring this in front of a group of people that are not gamers, they would just look at me like I had, 3 heads. So
you give it a 9?
I got to give it like an 8 or 9. Okay. I mean, it's almost. We talked about Firefly last week, and I think we generally gave that about a 7. And I'm trying to be in the same scale. This is definitely more complex than Firefly in terms of what you have to do on your turn and understanding what strategy means. So that said, I think it's a far better game to play. So this is not a casual game night game, but it's super fun. I liked it. But I'm not likely to buy it because my family is probably.
So, Bo, let me jump in for a second here. So, Board Game Geek, I was completely wrong. It's a scale of 1 to 5, which is why I remembered it being less than 5.
And everything just locked up.
But 60% of people said it was a 3, which is medium. 30% of people said medium heavy. So that's a third of the people said, Chris, medium heavy. It's a 4 and a 5. So yeah.
Oh, it's a 5-point scale. Sorry.
It's a 5-point scale.
So that would be an 8.
So it's a
our
6,
10 points.
7. Right. All right.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
can you do that?
I'm going to go a little higher, but then I'm also thinking about my group of people.
Right, but wait, if I roll a 6-sided dice and a 6-sided dice, the odds of getting a 2, is it 17 and 17?
Don't start.
What? What gamers?
That was the quiz. That was like Will Short's quiz in the last couple of days, was talking about D&D and rolling with advantage and whether it was better to roll advantage with disadvantage or disadvantage with advantage. It was pretty cool.
Really? And what did they say? There's just an argument, right? It went around?
No. He wanted people to like solve the problem. That was like his, puzzle of the day kind of thing. So,
and that was on YouTube or on one of the
I think it was like a Twitter thing. I don't know what his base platform is.
That's
Sorry,
cool.
I think it was Will Short. I hope I'm not like giving the wrong credit there.
That's all right. We'll find them. We'll maybe put them in the link and below. Who knows if I can even remember to do that. So that's why when we started this, what's that?
I was just mouthing to the camera. He won't remember. So that was supposed to be subtle. You're not supposed to point that out.
These aren't the things whatever. The droid you're looking for. So that's why when I started this whole episode, I knew it was going to get pretty crazy because, and I believe it or not, in a rare form, I think Chris and I agree wholeheartedly on this. Because when I put it on here as an option, a game to play, I said, well, are we going to do games that I think they all should show up on the table, right? So that we can all be positive and everything, or did somebody come here to watch it and then see the show eventually and be like, wait, I just watched them tell me not to do it. Well, tell me the ones I should be doing it, right? But in this case, I would say that this is no way a game you bring to the table on a first timer with somebody that's new trying to get this. I mean, to the point to where
we experienced
and again,
that. Actually,
I'm not even talking
remember
about
that, Johnny.
What's that?
I had to be a cheerleader for most of it.
Yeah, and I get it, but I
remember
mean,
when this was the game that somebody who had not played modern board games wanted to play. We went to like that gamer club thing that time, and he's like, I've heard this game is cool. Yeah. Let's play this game.
I kept saying we really shouldn't play this.
All right. Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing that a couple things though to get detailed on is one, the amount of things to remember in the game, right? Even if you have a kind of a cheerleader or a person that plays along the way, it's a game that it's never. I don't feel it'll ever be maxed out because somebody's going to forget to do something at some point. Right now, that's the first point. The second point is if you got a cheater at the table.
One more turn.
If you got a cheater at the table, guys, this is like balls to the wall for a cheater because there's no way.
Or just somebody who makes a mistake.
What he's doing, right?
Yeah.
To do it. Not that you want to be playing with cheaters and so forth. But my point being is that a lot of times it's not even the cheat scale. It's just the fact you can remember that you didn't do that or needed to do that or whatever. And when you're talking about trying to introduce a game and get people into it, and you're about a turn and a half in going, oh, we should have done that. There's nothing that'll squelch a good time than looking at it going, oh, that's, you should have done that or I should have done that. Or somebody that's really
wait,
sharp.
3 turns ago, I forgot to put my thing on the whatever and slide
So I hate to say this. I want to be this is the dark evilness of board gaming. We all know it and love, but it's better for an iPad than it is for a board game. When you're talking about that type of stuff, it's crazy.
There's not enough real estate to on an iPad.
I'm telling you what, man. Or tabletop. The tabletop. They don't actually.
You need to be sitting at a table with a beer and peanut M&Ms and your family around you.
Yeah, maybe for a bunch of gamers, I'll agree. But I have played it and kind of get into the strategy side. But I just don't, like I said, in the end, man. The simplicity. I'm giving it a 9.5. I mean, not.
Wow.
I mean, just the
9.5
cubes themselves. Just the cubes themselves. There's more colors to keep track of and remember than there is game mechanisms.
Yeah, I loved the cubes. I think the cubes are fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
But not to bring to a table of newbies.
Yeah.
So table of newbies. Yeah. No, but I look at my boys and Kathleen. They're not like gamers. They're not hardcore gamers. They're familiar with mechanics now. When I say it's a deck builder or it's tile placement, they get what those terms mean.
Right.
You're postgraduate gamer already. If you understand those terms.
Yeah, but so why do we love it? When I say, hey, let's play a game, that's their go-to. They love it. And so why
gamers? And you did a good job. But you did a good job. But here's why. Here's my prediction. That wasn't the first game they played with you and learned. You've raised them. They've come in to play. They've played different games, which is why we're doing the show, right? What are the games that'll get you going, get you level going to
I suspect it's also a game that's good to play 10 or 15 or 20 times with the same group of people.
Sure.
So here's the deal, right?
I would agree.
So I brought this to them. You're right. After playing simpler games, Small World, which we liked, but it's a really straightforward game.
We should do that one.
Great game. Good review, actually. Go ahead.
So I brought it after like as a progression. But what I asked Kathleen today, what do you like about the game? Like, why do you like to play it so much? She likes the interaction. So if you're a family like that out there, she likes that there's interaction, and there's some take that, but you're not going really against each other. It's kind of a parallel race.
Love it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interaction.
Yep.
She likes that it's not just sniping at each other the whole time.
Right.
Yeah, it's not take that, and it's also not sitting and twiddling your thumbs until your turn comes up, because you do that, as the cards go around, your turns go pretty quick. So you're always doing something.
You might have cards that say, hey, if somebody builds a city, you get an advantage because of this thing you've built in your town.
Right, so you got to stay alert.
Wiltz, you said in the last show, we talked about, remember Firefly, the nice thing about you doing your turn as somebody goes? Do you feel that's going on in this game too, or better, or same, or?
You don't really take action, if I recall, during somebody else's turn, but you can strategize what somebody else may be about to do with your cards, or with, but unlike Firefly, I think John said it, the turns in this game go relatively quickly versus Firefly turns can take some time. So
yeah, especially when you're flipping cards and moving and so forth. Yeah, true.
That's right.
I also really love how, I don't know, Wills, if you find this, I think the theme works so tremendously well with this game.
It really does.
Yeah, it does.
And
Absolutely.
that helps with my family
and the
too.
different corporations and what they're trying to
Right.
do.
You don't use the basic, right? There's another thing, by the way. You better start with the basic. If you add that one in, now you got to remember that thing too in your card that goes along.
So if you're teaching somebody, my point is, when the mechanics work with the theme, it makes it a little easier. Like when these timers run out, the game ends. What are those timers?
Yep.
Well,
That's why I gave it a 9 and not a 9.5. I mean, that's literally what I'm talking about here. That's the difference on it. Anyway,
that's a half point.
I do love the fact that there's 100 turn squares, and I think we made it through maybe, I don't even remember, but it was nowhere near 100. I would love to see a game go all the way around the board with 100 turns.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too, though, and then we'll jump into the dust factor on this too.
Those really turn squares?
It's both. It's generation.
Oh, it's on the same track.
And it's your credits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is when you start looking at the length of the game, is that a concern for you guys when let's say you have that friend comes over, it's really a non-gamer, right? Hey, let's sit down. Let me show you a cool game. Maybe he's a science guy, right? He does astronomy. Yeah. And astrology,
xenobiology,
and he kind of digs it. So it's like, hey, we got this game Terraforming Mars, and maybe it stimulates his interest. Is it too long of a game? Is it a good game? What do you find as far as the timing on it?
I think we can all agree you're not gonna bring this to a new gamer. If you have
you should not bring this to a new
game. Pull out Ticket to Ride, pull out Dominion, pull out one of those games.
Okay,
are those on our list?
Games. Yeah.
Sorry.
Good. Okay, so let's say
those need to be on our list,
right? And we develop it to a point that we've brought in a couple other games, which, by the way, as I go through these things and doing a lot of research just going into this, where I start looking at the ones that everybody's saying, right? So it's almost to a point where I don't even want to review them, because you can go out there. There's Splendor. Right. There's 5 Tribes. There's your Catan. What is it, Wilson? Your Carcassonne game, right? All these games are always say there's the ones you got to do, right? And I haven't even ever played Splendor. The other big one is Dixit. Dixit, I guess I never played it, but they're always saying that's the one that comes to the table. Okay, so I'm laying it out.
It's an activity.
It's a party game,
which is great. Party games are great. I love party.
Right. And I tell you, there's some debate we could have an entire show on party games, gamer games, party games, not because like code names. Yeah. Great game to review, but is it a gamer game or is it a party game type of thing? You know what I'm saying? As we go through that.
Well, there's a whole class of games if you have large numbers of people. Yeah. So that's I get that that's a different thing. But.
Right. Well, because we're going to talk about later on, maybe if we get the lunch, because I know, Chris, you want to talk so much about is a resistance game, which is a very large game in a party type of game. But it is
I have so many words.
I know. We're going to get to it. Yeah, I know, baby. I got all the expansions. We'll get to it because I think it's one to bring up. So there is a point where we want to bring up party games. I guess my main point, though, is that's not one that's reviewed as much as Dixit, as a Splendor. Right. These games. So we're not going to hit them because I think if you want that list, all these guys, Vassal, all these guys that are on there are really hitting it well because it's like the masses. What we're trying to do is say, look, when we something that we like, we know it has value as a game designer, but you really can get into it in depth. This is a really cool game to learn. and then really be proud that you know it and would bring it somewhere else yourself, or be like, I'm a gamer and I know how this game, much like, Cards Against Humanity or something like that. Does that make sense? So now
some
let's
games
talk
that
about,
haven't gotten 40 years of play already in 5 years.
So I don't know if that makes sense to me, Shane. So
go for it.
I came here tonight to this conversation saying, I think the listener or the viewer is saying, okay, I've played Ticket to Ride, I played Splendor, I played
Ticket to Ride's another one.
sort of one mechanic games, right?
Okay.
One mechanic, but new, sort of the new Euro style games, or the new not just life or sorry, roll and move kind of stuff.
Right.
And that person saying, I want something a little more complex.
Okay.
To upgrade with my family, with my group.
Okay.
In that case, I'd say, yeah, I think this is a great option for that. This is not a game to then say, hey, my family loves this game. I'm going to introduce this to you, 3 random friends who poker and maybe Catan or something.
Yeah. Yep. No, I mean, I don't think we're in a disagreement at all. I think my point is that we could do that simple list of those games that are out there that you would just bring in right away. So as we do this and just show, because we know a good quality game too. So I think maybe the difference is there's a lot of those cheesy ass easy games, right, to get into, and some quality games that are easy to get into that are being talked about a lot out there. There's not a need for us unless we just want to banter about a couple of fun nights, which is fine if that's how we want to move.
Maybe we could knock off 2 or 3 in one session.
I was going to say, I don't mind even doing like a mix, like a quick, hey, boom, 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 here's one, what do you think thing. But when you start talking about a game that really somebody's going to be a fan of, that really appreciates, like your boys, like they know how to play this game, this is accomplishment, right, for them, not only for them, education wise, but just in being able to interact and, like your wife said, communicate and go back and forth outside of just some random quick draw and moves. So so let's say we bring it to the table, or that it gets going with these other games, and then they bring it out and you're at a level where they kind of understand it, and they start playing it. How long, do you bring this game out a lot then? Because it does require, see, now this is where I'll switch it up a little bit too, and jump in. But let's go reverse. Let's go Chris, and then John and Wilt. What do you think on the dust factor?
You're still going to go last?
No, go ahead, Chris. You're up. Oh, I can start. I'll start. I think
you said reverse, so.
That's fine. So what I'll do is I'll say that the scenario with this is that I think it's going to have a low dust factor because once you spend and invest the time, right, and you see that somebody has that passion, that interest for the game, like your family, Johnny, is that I think this game will come out more because it has a satisfaction level of learning how to do the game, how to play it. And when you do understand the game and the components and everything about it, there's a lot to it and a lot to learn and explore and everything into the game. So I think if you do get over that hump, the gamer hump that we're talking about here, I think that it's going to be something that would come out a lot. And I think actually in general, the gaming community has proven this, right? This game's done very well. But even to the level that when you bring it in for newer folks after a few times of the other games, it's going to see maybe, I'd give it like a 2 or a 3, maybe 2.5, 3. I may say 3 because there's a couple others I know that would just come out all the time. I'd say a 3 on that. So that's my take on it. Chris?
Yeah, I think, I guess maybe it isn't so rare. I think you and I are going to agree again. I think if you find that group of people that are willing and interested enough to put in the time to play this game, and they're not intimidated by it, I think the reaction is going to be, as soon as you're through that first game, you're going to be like, do we have time to play again? Right. You're going to want to immediately take that knowledge that you learned and want to apply it again. There's all that stuff that makes it hard.
Because that was pretty exhausting. That's an exhausting game, man.
It depends how long your game sessions are. But, as all those things that make it not great the first time are what make it great the second, third, and fourth, and fifth time, because there are so many cards, and there are so many ways to combine. There are so many ways to score points. There are 3 different score tracks that you're keeping track of. There's a ton of replayability here. Right. This is a game that I would be happy to own and would bring to my table. Like I said, my family isn't quite at the right caliber yet. They're close. So yeah, I'm going to have to give it a 2 or 3 myself on that. Very little dust is going to collect on this game once you get past that inertia. If I were to buy it now, it would collect a lot of dust.
Gotcha.
But, in 3 to 5 years, it would probably get a fair amount of gameplay.
Fair enough. Good one. Johnny?
This is a one for us. This is our long game. So if we're saying, hey, tonight we're playing a game, this is what comes out. We know so well that we can, the boys DJ music while we're playing, and we're laughing and we're talking, and it's almost, I don't want to say we're not paying attention, but we don't have to, we're not confused and, trying to learn a rule.
Wow, that's interesting itself, playing that game without being, to your point, Chris, how many cards are in here that have this number and that stuff to do it, but just play it as almost as a party game. Terraforming Mars, a party game? What?
Yeah.
Right?
And again, for us,
I don't have that dysfunction.
I made a mistake. Big deal. So we're here to have fun. Well, house rules sometimes. Like, how does this? I don't know. How should it work thematically? Well, you should get it every turn. All right, you get it every turn.
Right.
We don't burden ourselves with.
You're not a competitive family, then, are you? No, just kidding.
Well, we like to win.
Nice.
So for us, it's a one. It's our go-to.
I love it.
I know now with the boys the age they are and working, we do a lot more 20-minute games than we do 2-hour games.
Which is probably a great reason why we're doing this as part of the show. Is it the first one to bring in? No. Is it the second? I don't know. Is it third? Maybe. Where is it in there? But once you hit and you can hit it, boom, it comes out because we're getting some really
I've played a lot of long games with complexity in them.
Yeah.
That would work with my family.
Yeah.
Just the best way, like Scythe or
right.
Wingspan's not super complex, but it's long-ish.
Yeah.
It's long. You can't take
I still want to learn that one and do it too, to check it out. But no, it's good point.
But if you're in the market for I need the long game for the family.
Yeah.
This is one I would recommend.
Yeah, because not all of them are probably like that. It's not going to pull a one for sure. I mean, even like you said, Firefly didn't have the best dust factor. Wilts, what do you think?
Yeah, I've only played it once. I'd love to play it again. I think I would play it often. I think every game would be different. In other words, there's, like Chris said, a lot of replayability. And then we saw also at the con, we saw the expansion set, which made it look like a completely different game. I mean,
that's right too. We played it, didn't we?
Yeah. So
which one?
We didn't
play it. Or is that too much?
No, we
no? Which one? Which one?
We saw it, but we didn't play it.
So there's colonies. There's colonies, which has another place you could score points, and then there's this thing with the Senate or something like that, where you're.
Yeah, it had a bunch more cards.
I can't imagine it had more to that.
Yeah.
The only expansion. So we have the Prelude expansion, which kickstarts the game faster. It gives you more. Basically, it's like additional corporation cards.
Okay.
Resources and
there you go.
Focus.
Well, I know between the basic games, when you start off, if you are going to bring this out early on, the basics are, the num money and then get going from there versus having another factor you got to keep track of.
This game doesn't need more complexity. Prelude is the expansion I would get.
That's one. Now we can talk about expansions all day in games that helped their games with expansions. And there's a lot of those. I don't know about this one.
I don't think these.
Yeah, well, we didn't play it, so yeah. Right. So if John's saying you have the expansion, John.
I have Prelude is the only expansion I got.
Okay.
The beginning
than one you're talking about.
Is it gives you take 4 cards and you choose 2 to keep, and they give you some benefit right away, and so it makes you say
it's like a jump start.
It jump start, and it maybe creates your focus, right? If you don't know what to focus on, and you get 2 cards that give you 10 plants or something, like, well, I guess I'll take the plant corporation and the plant cards, and I'm gonna be the plant guy, or.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but I think I'd play it often, and it would be more fun the more you play it, I think, and the more experience your opponents have at it would definitely make it playable.
Cool, good stuff. All right, we do the pinch and the roll, right? We doing that? Is that right? Yeah, there we go. All right. I get it. All right. So good post-production. We'll do that in post.
Handle that in post.
Yeah, we'll do that. Just cut it right out. So good stuff, guys. That's really it on the review on it. So in recap, when we talk about it, I think in agreements we're at I would say it was 9. It was what was yours, Chris, on the simplicity?
An 8.
8, Johnny?
I gave it a 6.
6. Wilts?
Yeah, same. 6.
Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So the last thing we've been bantering this around, bantering back and forth about the Kickstarter concept when we look at it, and it's as we were just talking about in full transparency, it's kind of difficult to bring something out and talk about it when it could be less than 10 days left before it's not even available to you. And I think Chris, you brought that up on the last show, which I think has a lot of validity to this. What I found is that if you're a gamer and you're trying to bring games to the table, there's a lot of the ones we just talked about that if you haven't played them already, you can do it. But then there's new ones, and there's new designers coming out with really cool mechanisms and mechanics and stuff like that we'd love to showcase and say, hey, look, this is how here's a good idea of how it could come to the table faster, right? And this game's doing it. If we start building this community and there's more people to listen to and have an idea, can send us something, say, hey, take a look at this game. I think that's where it'll come into play and be valuable to us as well. And if you guys see something as you go along, because I'm always on there. I mean, I think I've spent more in Kickstarter this year than I did on my mortgage. Then maybe it's something we can bring to the table and mention. We can all banter around ahead of time. It's funny because we talk about that. Was it Frosthaven last week? It was what I saw this week to let you know. And there's a good example of somebody stepping up. Is the company actually, they came out, because when you're on Kickstarter, if you've never done it, it's something once you purchase it, you're on the hook for either $1 or $100 that you always get the updates on what's going on with the game. Well, he came out after taking everybody's money, the $12 million plus, and said, oh, by the way, only the first 2,000 people are going to be able to get Gloomhaven before, and then we're going to have to wait for X amount of times before we get reprints to bring out the rest. And that thing lit up like it was like my phone was on fire. I was like, what's going on here? Is my kids okay? What's going on and everything? It's just like, I think it was just comments being made. Everybody's upset. The coolest thing ever is this cat came back and within, I'm going to say maybe 30 minutes, right? Had a solution, the whole thing, saying, look, this was way out of whack. I see how I was a bonehead. He actually says this in the email on this whole thing, and I'm going to do this. And he created a 1.5 wave, if you will. And the only thing it was is saying that everybody's going to get it, and they're going to make sure everything's out there, and you're going to get the same price. They're going to cover the cost of the shipping. They're doing now. Is it perfect world? No, they only have 2,000, maybe less, because they had millions of dollars, right? People that want to be a part of this. But the fact he came back in that fast, came up with a solution, probably ate some revenue, right? Some net money, because he's going to have to send out more on the shipping and everything. I thought was pretty cool and pretty badass in regards to response to it. And I don't know, it makes me a fanboy. I was just, as a marketing guy, and looking at it going, that's pretty cool when they do drive your number to the record, right? And then you back up by saying, oh, that's great, but we can't do this. And he at least stepped up, and he could have just walked away from it like, sorry. To do it. And I think he I don't know if he didn't please everybody.
So in the end, is everybody going to get the game when they expect it, or is it still going to be tiered?
It's going to be, I think it's like 2 months or 2 to 3 months, something like that difference on it. And it's going to be, like I said, all the coverages on like the shipping, extra shipping, everything. So you can order it now, and it'll just be like 2 months later versus it was going to be something like who knows, like 8 to 12 months or something. It was a big difference.
That's a pretty big error on the part of the manufacturer.
Yeah. But again,
they had to know how many they sold of Gloomhaven. They had to know they were going to sell 10,000 of these things.
I don't know.
So that's pretty bad planning. I mean, it's good that they are trying to make it right, but still, that seems.
Yeah,
seems kind of.
It was one of those things like every era. You know what I mean? Look at Fantasy Flight games. I mean, of course, they do that on purpose many times, right? They put out a certain amount, and you're like, "Whoa, we need to get that. You can't get it now." Well, that makes me want it more. But guess what? 3 months later, it comes out. Now everybody and their mother wants it.
That's intentional print.
Yeah,
marketing.
And I'm not saying they do it on purpose, right? But they probably do it on purpose.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with Fantasy Flight.
But the thing with the Kickstarter though is they could have done it that way from the beginning. So, I mean, there's a lot of Kickstarters out there where, if you're the first 500 people, you get this price and it gets shipped at this time. And if you're the next 1,000 people, then you're, and it's tiered right at the beginning. So the fact that they didn't tier the pledge payments, but then tried to tier the delivery, that's bad pool.
Well, no, he said, I mean, that was the nice thing I was saying about his email. He came out and said I was a bonehead and I should have done it that way. It was my fault, complete bad. And I'm trying to make up what I can on it. And I actually took him for face value on that. Now, who knows on it? But the way he came back, did it, how fast he did it, because of the response, gave me more of an organic feel to it, right? That he was kind of trying to make it happen versus, let's just see what happens and we'll launch this thing.
Where they have a really good marketing team.
Yeah. That's true too. So, well, I mean, like I said, whether you like the games or not, whatever, it was interesting to watch because it's the mechanism of Kickstarter, which again can be your biggest fan and your biggest enemy, right? Be careful. It was a great man once said, "Be careful what you chase, you might catch it." That happened there. You know what I mean? For that situation with those guys. So, but anyways, that was the only piece I just followed up on that came out this week. So.
Well, it's such an interesting mechanic because I mean, you think about you order a game from an online game company. one of these large ones that's named after a jungle, or some other private company, they don't charge you until the thing is in the mail, right? Or it's about to hit the mail.
Mm-hmm.
But you buy a Kickstarter, they take your money at the end of the 30 days or whatever, and they hold it for a year or two, possibly.
Well, especially when you're
some of
dealing
these
with what's
things
going
take
on now.
years to develop, right?
We can't get a ship across the sea, man. I mean, I got all these little battle mechs I was just waiting to come over for me to be painting and doing everything. No, ain't happening.
Yeah, well, pandemics notwithstanding, but it's
right.
just, it's such an interesting, different way that people are willing. If you were to go to a catalog store back when those existed and order something and have to pay your cash up front, we'll send you your merchandise in 6 months.
Yeah.
Who would accept that? But
a shit ton of
we're
people,
perfectly okay doing that with Kickstarter for some reason. I don't know
it's
what
new.
changed in our mental model that makes that okay.
Yeah.
I think people like being a backer. They like saying, "Yeah, I kickstarted this."
Yeah. You get your name in the brochure, and and then when the thing finally shows up, you've forgotten about it. It's like, oh look, a cool thing showed up in the mail that I forgot.
Have you guys done how many Kickstarter? Wilts, have you done any Kickstarter backing at all or no?
No, I haven't, but I noticed we have a Twitter follower that's starting one up, so maybe we'll have to get in on that one. Uprising Curse of the Last Emperor. So
No kidding.
that might be my first.
There you go. Love it.
It's a 4X co-op strategy game from the looks of it. So.
Sweet. You have to take a look at it. We'll do a review next week on it. That sounds like a great idea. Cool. Johnny, how many have you Kickstarted? A few?
I did two. I did Web of Spies, which I think is a really fun game. Actually became the official game of the Spy Museum in DC after he launched it.
That's pretty sweet.
And I've got one coming
great.
in December-ish called Tipping Point. It's a
you mentioned that last week. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Those two. Cool. Chris,
Yes,
how about
those
you?
As far as games go,
Yeah.
I've got a couple that are pending right now. I've got what is it? Return to the Dark Tower. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's the remake of the 1980s electronic tower game that spun around.
You did do that one?
Yeah, I'm in on that.
That's
one.
Restoration Games. That's my boy Rob Devio. Because I did.
Oh, really?
I did Fire Island.
Shout out Rob Devio.
Yeah. He.
yeah, you did the Fireball Island, right?
I got that. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about a game I'd really love to review for that. Not because, again, giving him more love. Those guys kick ass, but just the fact that it really is a family fun game. It's very, very, thematic and everything. You come to the table and now you're like, woo! You think, not quite to the level of Heroescapes on that detail, but as far as, or actually more detail than grand, if you will. But that's cool. So I'm gonna have to fly up to play that then, because if you did get the Kickstarter of that, it looked like
cool. Yeah. And I'm in on another one that's like 3 small games, which unfortunately I cannot remember off the top of my head, but it was something actually my wife saw and said, hey, these look fun. So I was like, sure, why not? Yeah. It was pretty cheap, and it was like, a set of 3 small games. So we'll see we'll see how those work out. Nice. I've got a bunch of other kind of Kickstarter things. There was a Kickstarter for like a table extender thing, which of course I can't remember the names of any of these, so I'm giving nobody any plugs here. But yeah, I mean, I've probably been in a few other ones as well. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. Cool. I don't really think about it afterwards. Once the game shows up, it's just
like, hey, it's like Christmas. That's what I like too. Yeah. It's kind of fun. Yeah, I say quite a few. I can't say that, maybe 8 or 10 different games. I can do a whole laundry list of them, but a lot of them are, actually, it's probably evenly matched up between new folks coming on and well-known games. I mean, if you consider Restoration games well-known or not, but there's been a few out there as well.
Was the Magic a card game and a Kickstarter? I can't remember.
Magic? No.
Magica, the video game.
I was gonna say Magic. That was like 90 something. What are you talking about?
No, they made a card game based on that, and I think that might have been a Kickstarter. I can't even remember, but it was something that they had set up, and I got in on that. And I don't know, Johnny might remember. We actually beta tested that. They sent us like a preset of the cards. Do you remember that, John?
Oh, yeah, I remember.
Yeah, you had the fire and the water and the shock, and you were trying to kill the other wizards at the table.
Right, and the thing you're talking about is like I think it's the evolution. It's kind of like eBay when everything was used that you bought, right, when it first came out, and now everything's just a big store. Yeah. I think Kickstarter has developed into that too, to the point where I remember they'd send you, okay, get in, I'll only send you a PDF that you can print out and cut things out and do things and do whatever. And now they're like, yeah, 3D printing will be there. Here's your thing. Here's your list. Here's your, bonuses or your,
I did the print and play of Web of Spies and brought it to right. I don't know.
Yeah. It's good stuff. I mean, not everybody does that anymore either. So
Magic of Mayhem. I have it right here. These were the prototype beta test cards.
Oh, that's legit, man. You're legit.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good stuff. All right. Well, like I said,
It's got to be worth like a Babe Ruth at this point.
Babe Ruth. Right. Exactly. Is it signed by the creator? No. It's not worth as much. That's fun. It's got its authenticated card next to it. That's good. All right, well, like I said, the Kickstarter stuff we can keep at if we find something that's of value, that you hear something in the news, because I try to keep up with it, and I'll bring it up at the end. But it's a good show. Another one in the can, guys. It was great. We'll take a look at it for next time. I think we did a couple weeks out, right? We did this before, and I think it's a good time. I'm certainly having fun. So if you guys are still up for it, we'll keep them rolling. We'll come up with another game and
we'll have to play something before the next game, though. So figure out something to play. I said we'll have to play something before the next podcast. So
there we go.
We'll have to do a tabletop of it
Love
or something.
So I know we have a list of games that some of us have submitted, and is your plan to just sort of pick off that list, or should we mix it up and roll a die or randomize? I listened to a few podcasts that do reviews where they, that's sort of a bit at the end of the show is let's roll the die and see what we're reviewing next time.
Perfect. I love the idea. Let's
that way maybe we could put in some of these lighter games and it wouldn't feel quite so silly that we're reviewing them again.
Yeah. Let's talk off camera, and we'll figure out a way to do it next round, and we'll come up with it, and then we'll shake it up from there. So love it.
Because
all right,
how can we be doing a gamer show without dice?
I know, right? How would we roll it? I need a board. Now I need a camera that'll shoot straight down. I don't know how that's going to work.
Just need a dice tower, and you can show.
No, actually, I'll do the app on the screen right here and just do the roll.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There we go. No, I know.
Anyway, stay tuned.
High quality, our high production values, and we got the budget for it for sure. Yeah. What, honey? Oh yeah, we're broke. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah. Sounds good. We appreciate you being on, and we'll be back in next time. Again, if anybody wants to join that did follow us, catch us on Podomatic, or we do a regular podcast audio version of this as well. You can pick up, if you're listening, you can go to YouTube. You can check us out and see our ugly mugs as well. Talk and discuss everything at BoardSTIFF. That is the YouTube spot. Just type that in. You'll see our lovely logo. Right, John?
Lovely.
It is. You love it. And
Alec.
It is right. Or you can email us at boardstiffgamer@gmail.com, and by Twitter at boardstiff4. 1, 2, 3, 4 of us going at it. So it's at boardstiff4. Let us know you're listening, and any comments, questions, comments, and sarcastic remarks, which we love. We appreciate it. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.